Hello everyone! Today, all Hollywood blockbusters must have a spectacular car chase, a scene with roaring engines, black tire marks on the asphalt, and actors skillfully driving through the sharpest turns to leave the villains behind. Well, you know. But in real life, you can also find examples of exciting chases. And although the end is always a little predictable, that doesn't make them less cool. Don't you believe us? Then see it for yourself. Motorhome and dogs. Do you think that to escape from justice, you need a fast and modern car? Otherwise, it won't be possible? Ha! That's because you haven't tried to run away from the police in a motorhome. Julie Ann Rainbird, 52, bought a vehicle after stealing someone else's personal information. When the scheme was discovered, the police tried to arrest the woman, but suddenly she floored the gas pedal. Julie began to flee desperately and was driving so chaotically that she hit almost every obstacle in her path. For example, a palm tree.
Oh my gosh! Look at this.
The criminal drove down highways and then down the city streets, ignoring the traffic lights and occasionally bumping into other cars.
When the woman smashes into a car.
Oh!
But the half-broken RV kept going and Julie didn't want to give up. At one point, one of the woman's dogs decided he had had enough and jumped out of the car. At that moment, the criminal almost stopped, but seeing that her pet was fine, she sped up again. It turned out there was another dog in the car. Maybe she stole a whole zoo? Julie crashed into two more cars, practically pulling them off the road, until she finally stopped, but only to escape again. At that moment, the police finally caught the woman and stopped her. By the way, don't worry about the dogs. Both were taken to a veterinary clinic, where they were given all the necessary medical attention. Real-life GTA. You know, looking at this chase, we feel like we know the favorite game of the criminal. There's not much information about what happened. Apparently, this guy stole a white van in South Los Angeles and tried to escape. He had no trouble dodging obstacles, but suddenly, he crashed into a police car. But that didn't stop him. He backed up and tried to leave again. Another crash and no reaction again. Despite the presence of police cars, he tried to escape anyway. Look, he's literally pushing the other cars on the road to clear his way. The criminal didn't have time to stop at the traffic lights. He was being chased after all, and the chase keeps going and going and going. It's incredible how stubborn the criminal turned out to be. But the most epic part of the chase is, of course, the end. The man left the van and tried to escape, but suddenly he fell down. Oh, what a pity. Well, the cops just had to stop him, and let's be honest, they probably put too much effort into it. No, seriously, a couple of people would be enough. Besides, the wet floor is still on their side. Fleeing with a baby. In 2018, Texas authorities published a gripping video chase. Caitlin Rodriguez tried to escape the police at a speed of 160 kilometers per hour while passing between the cars in a risky and dangerous manner. The end came quickly. Her Mercedes tires were deflated by a special police device and Rodriguez crashed into a truck. But wait, that's not the end. As soon as she stopped, she jumped out of the car. She took out a baby from the back seat and started running away by foot. We can't believe there was a baby in the car with her the whole time.
Where's that smile? There it is.
After crossing the street, the woman tried to get into another car to escape, but the officers managed to get there in time. The baby was carefully taken out of the car and the mother was arrested. Later, Caitlin Rodriguez was charged with evading arrest and endangering the child. It is said that the woman was wanted and began this crazy chase after a police officer asked her documents. Showing off. If you think that all the chases we've already shown you don't look quite like those in the movies, then this one will surely fit all parameters. Two robbery suspects led a long and spectacular chase on a rainy day. They drove a blue Mustang Cabriolet and apparently enjoyed what was happening. The suspects even performed several tricks on Hollywood Boulevard.
Whoa! You know, I don't know if this guy is showboating.
A street known for its Walk of Fame. The driver and the passenger greeted other drivers and occasionally stopped when the car got into traffic jam, and people greeted them with cheers and applause.
In restaurants and bars, people couldn't turn away.
There were also dangerous moments. At one point, the Mustang hit another car. The incredible chase continued from the Cerritos area to the highways, through Hollywood and other parts of Los Angeles for more than an hour, until the suspects reached South Los Angeles. At the end, of course, was no less spectacular. The chase ended with the driver and passenger sitting on the hood of the car, taking selfies, hugging and chatting with a dozen spectators for a few minutes before surrendering to the police without resistance. Chasing the red van. In 2018, officials from the Arizona Department of Public Safety arrested Mitchell Timothy Tybell, 31, after a long and eventual persecution. The incident began when a police sergeant tried to pull over his red van, but the driver did not obey and kept going. To stop the criminal, the police used special barriers, but the man was able to easily overcome the obstacle and continued his escape. The chase lasted for some time, until two police vehicles tried to block the criminal. Tybell was able to dodge them, accelerate, get on the opposite track, and despite the terrible accident, Tybell was able to get out of the car on his own and apparently even talk to passers-by. A few seconds later, the police arrived at the site of the crash and, after a little confusion, arrested the criminal. The driver of the other car, a 47-year-old woman, was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. It was also discovered that Tybell had already had serious problems with police in other states. Longboard versus police. You can't surprise anyone with a car chase anymore. That's probably what the protagonist of this video thought. This guy, suspected of stealing a BMW, was chased by the police through the streets of Van Nuys in 2014. He left Highway 405 at Victory Boulevard around 1540 and drove through the city at a speed of up to 140 kilometers per hour. The criminal skillfully avoided all obstacles without stopping on the way when he suddenly crashed into another car. Boom! But the chase was not over because the guy had a longboard. The suspect ran north through Valjean Avenue, climbed on the board and awkwardly rode it half a block before facing traffic jams again. Or rather, the traffic jams found him again. The driver of a pickup blocked the guy for a few seconds. The criminal avoided the car and tried to hide, but at that moment the same pickup was back in his path, blocking the driveway. Then the police arrived and the suspect was arrested. Later it turned out that the pickup driver was none other than Lou Pizarro, the star of a television show. I saw a guy running with a skateboard in his hand and running away from the police, and it was just an instinct to block him to stop him a bit, Pizarro said, escaping on a train. This story happened in Charlotte, North Carolina. It started out as a regular chase, until the stolen black Honda Civic chased by the police reached the railroad tracks. It would seem to be the end, because life's not a James Bond movie where a car can easily fly over an obstacle or accelerate and avoid the train. But it turned out that the criminal had other plans. The guy got out of the car, ran along the tracks, reached the train, and climbed up on it. No kidding! A train on the move, just like in Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes. The criminal traveled on the train for some time and then jumped off, hiding somewhere in the surroundings. The police had to work hard to find him, but they succeeded. The officers arrested 17-year-old William Mason and filed numerous charges against him, including resistance to arrest and an illegal train ride. Dramatic outcome. You've already noticed that the life of police officers is sometimes like the Fast and the Furious, chasing criminals every day. And what chases? This one, for example, lasted almost 3 hours. The truck driver successfully dodged the cops. They could not puncture the tires of the car to make him stop. And not even a trip through the field could stop the criminal. After all, why not? Fresh air near Oklahoma City is very rare. But as often happens, the most spectacular part of the chase was the end, and the man who so stubbornly resisted the police surrendered to the force of nature. Yes, it's probably one of the wettest chases on our list today. Young offender. Adults love to talk about how hard adolescence is and how often their children get spoiled in those years. Bad habits, inappropriate friends. Well, if your parents like to talk about that, tell them about this 10-year-old from Cleveland. The kid stole his parents' car 3 times, leading to real chases with the police. Well, actually, he was only 10 years old the first time, in 2017. On that occasion, he reached a speed of about 160 kilometers per hour and refused to stop. Fortunately, no one was hurt. It was harder to stop the young offender the second time. He was aggressive, kicking and spitting at the cops. And when the boy was asked why he had stolen his parents' car, he supposedly replied that,
"Dunno, sir. Bold, I guess."
Bold, he guesses.
Bold.
The third time, the boy traveled at a speed of 140 kilometers per hour and had an accident. His car flipped. The young criminal came out with minor injuries and fortunately didn't hurt anyone. You're probably wondering what was the reason for the robbery this time? The young boy later said that he had taken the car because his mother had taken away his PlayStation. No comment.